What's going on today, guys? Welcome back to Fix It Garage. Today we are going to finish all of the mechanical work on this car so we can start detailing it and then get it sold. The last thing that we need to fix is the clutch. When I move it around in the yard, the clutch feels very bad and it's slipping and it makes horrible sounds, so we're gonna change it today. As you can already tell, someone has started tearing apart this car ahead of time, so we can go ahead and knock this thing out super quick. We're gonna get everything torn down on the top, and then we're gonna tear everything down underneath, pull the transmission out, swap the clutch, easy as pie. So let's get started right away.
You gonna film this?
Oh, yeah. Do you want the impact gun? Hi guys. Welcome to Underneath the Car and my very dirty face. So we got a lot of work done. We've got the transmission almost ready to pull out. We've got our axles removed. We've got the whole top side torn apart. But now we're at the last step before we can undo the motor mounts and remove the transmission. And that is to remove what they call the bitch pin. Pin is that little pin in there that holds this U-joint together, which is for the shift rods. So what we need to do is pop it out, then we can remove this shift rod, and then we can unbolt the stabilizer rod, and then we undo the mounts, and the transmission will come out. So we're gonna set up a camera, and I'm gonna knock out this bitch pin, get this all unhooked, and then we'll start undoing all these motor mounts, and we can pull this motor out. Let's get going. All right, we got the bitch pin out, and all it is this little guy. This little pin sits inside of this. That little pin sits inside of this U-joint right here, and it allows it to be inside of the transmission, so we can change gears right here, and that's where the pin will go through, and that locks the two pieces together. You can see this seal is not all the way installed, which is why it was leaking. So we're gonna either fully install this one or replace it with the spare that I have. And we remove the stabilizer bar as well. So now all that's left now is we need to go ahead and undo the 3 motor mounts that are holding this in, support the engine, and remove the transmission, and we'll have access to our clutch. Just like that, we've got the clutch out. Let's take a look at some of the parts that we have laying here. Up first, we have the pressure plate, and as you can see, there are some definite marks on it from it slipping and getting hot. So it's a good thing we replaced this when we did, because this is a good sign that it was worn out. Throwout bearing has a nice bearing sound. This was also very worn out, and it was time for it to be replaced. There's metal debris indicating the bearing was coming apart, so good thing we're changing this. Clutch disc itself, you can see here, the disc was really close to the back of the rivets, so the disc, even though it may not look too thin, was definitely close to its service limit, so it's time for a replacement clutch disc. And lastly, we have the flywheel. Again, you can see these burning marks on it from it getting a little hot at times, so this clutch had a long service life, so it is the perfect time for us to change it. So we're gonna clean up the new flywheel, clean up the transmission, and we're gonna start throwing everything back together. All right, so we've got our new flywheel cleaned and ready to go back in the car. Transmission has been cleaned and we replaced that seal on the end of it. So this is ready to now go back together and go back in the car. We also cleaned the clutch release fork, and we will we'll put some new grease on that and on the input shaft to help everything run smoothly when it goes back together. So we need to reassemble our shift fork and our throwout bearing, but we don't want any of this to be dry. You can tell here, these are the contact points on the shift fork. We want to put a little bit of this lubricant on there to help make sure that this runs smoothly. We don't want any weird noises. I also like to put a little bit of lube back there where the ball is. That's another good spot for lubricant. And as always, you cannot forget to lubricate your shaft.
Never stick your shaft in dry.
No dry shafts. And a little bit of this grease goes a long way. So we got our shaft nice and lubed. Take it, stick it back on. Oh, that's a big rip. That didn't go to plan. Why did that not do it right? It normally always works. Try this again. No. Slide it on. Pop the ball on, the detent ball, and it comes back apart again. What the heck, Ski?
Your ball crooked?
No, I'm probably being something dumb. There. Now it's on. And now we check it. Nice and smooth, how we want it. That'll be nice for the clutch movement once we put the slave cylinder back on. And this is on how it should be. There's always gonna be a little bit of play, but you have to remember, once the slave is pushing on this and there's a clutch here, this is all gonna be very tight. But that part's done. Now we're ready to bolt the flywheel back to the engine and the clutch, and then we can put this back in. All right, we tighten them in a star pattern. Flywheel bolts are now good. Let's go ahead and slap our new clutch on. All right, new clutch. Fancy clutch install tool that comes with it. Fits right into that pilot bearing, and it centers our clutch disc, which will make it very easy to reinstall the transmission, hopefully. We take our pressure plate, and there's dowels on the flywheel that have to line up with the dowel marks on the pressure plate. It only fits one way. I think it goes like this.
Only fits one way. Perhaps this way.
And I happen to get it right on my first guess. Start all of our 10mm bolts by hand. So when you're tightening down a pressure plate, you don't want to fully tighten any one bolt to start with. You want to tighten them in a star pattern and gently torque them down so that all these fingers can press equally on your clutch. Clutch is torqued. This should go in and out fairly easily, which it does. That means we'll have an easy time when we go to reinstall the transmission. So now we are ready to reinstall the transmission. All right, so since the transmission's back in, currently Bob is working on reassembling the top side, and I'm working underneath reassembling everything we took off. The shift levers, the exhaust, the cover plate for the flywheel, all while he's reassembling the top side so we can get this thing done. It is advised when you're doing a clutch or something like this to just have a second person just in case something falls. The transmission isn't the heaviest thing I've ever worked with, but you don't really want it falling on you. But overall, this is not a really hard process. These old Hondas are actually quite simple to pull the transmission out of and get it back in. All right, with everything all done, it is now time to test it. So what we did is we put the fluid in it and we made sure that it worked on the rack before we lowered it down. Now that it is working on the lift, it is time to go take this thing for a test drive. We gotta do it one more time.
All right, one more again.
All right, clutch is in. Now we need to go test drive this thing real quick around just a short little test drive. Make sure that the clutch works and we can start, you know, putting this car more back together. Oh my God, that's horrible.
Well, we're getting some of the braking miles on the clutch. That's all that matters.
Yes, that's what we need. All right, so far it feels pretty good. Yep. They're gonna look at me really funny.
Yeah, fuck 'em.
I know. We'll go down this way a little bit further. Make sure that's all good. Suspension feels good. Trans feels good. Clutch feels good.
Brakes feel good.
Power is a little odd. Now we're gonna do something really dumb. Oh, that's right. I don't have headlights on this thing. This is smart. This is smart. That felt better.
It doesn't feel bad. Is it something in every gear or just third?
Oh, I gotta find that. I don't know yet. I haven't been able to drive it. I don't see any cops. Let's go. That's clips. Ooh.
Probably just aero noise.
No. Oh, is that the... What is rubbing?
Probably aero noise.
Oh, I bet you it's the splash shields rubbing on the tires.
Yeah, I told you. Push it in a little bit.
That did not sound great, though.
It's fine.
Alrighty, guys, so Bob is headed out. We got to clean up the shop, but we test drove the car, drove just fine for what it is, an old Honda. Definitely some rubbing noises from the fender liners not being secured, but we're gonna deal with that another day. I'm actually, the next time you see this car, the front end's gonna be all put back together and the interior is gonna be done. I'm gonna fix the door lock issue off camera and just tell you guys what it was. It looks like it was door lock actuators. So I'm gonna put one in and get this car fixed. And the next time you guys see it, we're gonna be detailing this thing and trying to make it look as good as we can. It won't look new, but it'll look dang good. But I want to thank all of you guys for watching. If you like what you saw, don't forget to smash the like button, leave some comments down below, and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. We're going to be doing a full build breakdown on this car when it is all done and running well. So thank you guys all for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.